Hello everyone. In this lesson we're going to take care of a few miscellaneous details. Let's jump into the action. So the first detail that I want to pay attention to is this page title or document title or whatever you want to refer to it as, but it's the title that you would see for the web page up in the tab. In other words, we don't always want it to just be our app. Like if you visit an individual blog post, we would want to see the title for this blog post up in this title bar somewhere. Or when you visit a user's profile, right, this should say like Barks-a-Lot's profile, / our app. So on and so forth. So to make that happen, here's what I would do. Jump into your layout.blade.php file, and let's just scroll up to the top. And for me, it's around line number 7, right? But here we see the title tag. So here's what I would do. We want this value inside here to be dynamic. So I would hollow that out. And instead, I would say @is set, parentheses, and then let's make up a property name. You could call it anything, but I'll call it, $ like doc title, or you could call it page title, but I'm going with doc title. And then after those parentheses, I'm going to drop down, and then I'm going to have double curly brackets, just output doc title, and then a space, and then a pipe, and then this doesn't have anything to do with PHP. This is literally just, here for a string of text, like a separator, and then I would have our app. So this would say like, the blog post title, pipe, our app. Below that, I would say @else, and this is for if the layout that is using our layout component, if you did not pass this component a property of doc title, well, in that case, then let's just output, our app without the custom title in front of it. Cool, so then I would just end the is set, and we're in business. So we can save this. And now if you go refresh, obviously none of our Blade templates are passing in that variable. So we just see the else here, right? Our app. Let's go set up a single blog post though. So all we would do for this single blog post template is just find the file. So we named it singlepost.blade.php. And up at the very top, when we're leveraging our layout component, I would just give it a variable. So :doc title, and actually I named it lowercase title, so all lowercase like this, doc title equals quotes, and then it would just be, $post, look inside that for title. And just to refresh your memory, if you were just passing a simple, literal string of text, you don't need the colon here. The colon is when you want to pass this a PHP variable, instead of just an actual simple string of text. But if we go ahead and save that and refresh, beautiful. We actually see the blog post title, then a pipe, our app. Let's just work through all of our templates now and give it a relevant title. For example, let's go set up when you visit someone's profile. So the template in question, if we just search for a file of profile-post.blade.php. Now this page will actually be a little bit different because we're calling the profile component and then it is leveraging the layout component. So we're going to have to pass the property more than once, but that's okay. So on this component, I would just give it a property. So let's say doc title equals. Now I should clarify here. Let me put quotes here. If all that you want to give it is a PHP variable, you do need the colon in front of it like this. However, I don't actually need the colon this time, and let me show you why. In these quotes, I'm going to say double curly brackets. Something dynamic will go in there, but then I'm going to say, apostrophe S profile, right? So the blank part will be like Brad's profile or Barks-a-Lot's profile. Cool. Now in these double curly brackets, I would just say, $, and then we named it, shared data. Look inside that array with square brackets for quotes username. Let's give that a save, and then we do need to go into our profile component, right? Because that's what we're leveraging here. So in the components folder, profile.blade, up at the top, that is what's leveraging layout. So then we would want to pass that property into layout, right? Before we do that, if we try to refresh this profile screen, right, we don't see anything up in the title bar. So all we would need to do is just say :doc title equals quotes $doc title. We can go ahead and save that. And now if we refresh, Whoops, I must have accidentally uppercased the T in title somewhere. So if you go back into profile post.blade, yep. So you might have caught that in real time, but we don't want the uppercase T, just doc title, all lowercase. Just save and refresh. Beautiful. We see Barks-a-Lot's profile. Now, some of you might be wondering, hey, in Profile Blade, in our profile component, why didn't we just set doc title directly to, shared data apostrophe profile? Why did we perform that extra step of setting it in this template, passing it into the profile component, so on and so forth? And my answer for that is simple. I want to be able to define a different title pattern for each one of these 3 different profile screens. So for example, you can see I just got an error message because when you visit the followers screen, we would now want to give it a custom document title, right? Instead of it saying Barks-a-Lot's profile, I would want it to say Barks-a-Lot's followers. Let me explain. So if we go into profile-followers.blade, up here, I want to define a totally unique pattern. So I would just say doc title equals curly brackets, double quotes, $ shared data, look inside that for username. And then after the double curly brackets, apostrophe S, followers. Give that a save, refresh, go to followers. Beautiful. Cool. And then finally, let's set up the title for the following screen. So I would just go into profile following and say doc title equals curly brackets. And I would probably say like who blank follows. And then instead of blank though, that would be the username in question. So, double curly brackets, $ shared data, look inside that for username. So if we save that and then you visit the following tab, beautiful. Who Barks-a-Lot follows. Let's move on. So when you click create post, we would want this screen, it could say create new post. So I would just go into our create post template up at the top. I would give this, doc title equals create new post. Save that, refresh, beautiful. Let's set up the title for when you edit one of your existing posts. So if I click here, this could say like edit another Brad post. So if we go into edit post.blade, go up to the top, say doc title equals quotes. I would say maybe like editing blank, and I would put like a colon right after the word editing, and then this would just be the post title. So double curly brackets, just $ post, look inside it for title. Let's give that a save and refresh. Beautiful. Editing, the title, and then / our app. Let's go edit the template for when you visit your profile and you click manage avatar. So that'll be simple. Just go into avatar form and say doc title equals manage your avatar. Perfect. And I believe that's all of the templates. Yes, the only other ones would be the home page, and I'm fine with the home page just being our app. Cool. Now, before we bring this lesson to a close, there's one other detail I want to take care of, and that is you'll notice that this formatting for displaying a blog post on the homepage feed is very similar to the formatting on a user's profile. So I think it would be cool if we had a shared component that both of these templates used. And you'll notice there's one little difference, right? The profile view doesn't say the author name, but if you go to your home page, the feed does. So we can just have an if statement, and then give the component a property of like hide username true or false, or show username true or false. So here's what I would do. And I would actually use the homepage version as our starting base, and then essentially just hide this by the username if we need to for the profile screen. So do this with me. Go into your homepage feed.blade.php file. And for me, it's around line number 7. Essentially, in the for each loop, I just want you to select the A element. So these 4 lines of code, or however many lines of code it is for you, but from the opening A tag to the closing A tag, just copy that into your clipboard. Once it's in your clipboard, you can just put a placeholder dash or something here. So if you save, that's going to break the homepage. That's okay. We'll fill this in just a moment. But what I want you to do with your clipboard now, before you lose what's in your clipboard, is go into the components folder inside the views folder. Let's right click on the components folder, choose new file. I'm just going to name it post.blade.php. In this file, just paste in your clipboard. Let me fix the indentation here a bit. Okay, now here's what I would do. Here's the blog post title, and then here's the span with the optional text. I would just drop down to a new line just to stay organized. I would actually also drop down the content inside the span. So it's like, by the username, and then it's going to be on the date. And then we can drop down here. Cool. So essentially, I would just want this bit of text here to be optional. So here's what I would do. I would say @if, parentheses, and I would say is set, parentheses, and let's make up a name. Let's call it like hide author. And then I would put an exclamation here to check for if the opposite is true. So essentially, as long as you're not saying let's hide the author, then we want to show the author right here, the by username text. And then I would just say @end if. Cool. So now check this out. Let's save that file, go back into homepage feed, and in the for each loop, instead of the dash, we would just say x-post, self-closing. Self-closing because we don't need any actual content in the middle of it. But then here's the important part. If we just saved this, we would get an error message, right? So if I click save and refresh, what's going on here is our post component doesn't have access to $post, the blog post that's been looped to. So all we would do is just give it a prop. I would say, :post equals quotes $post. So if we save that and refresh, beautiful. And just to point something out, normally you can make up whatever variable name you want here. However, our post component is specifically looking for that variable that's going to be named $post, right? It's already looking there. So to get things to line up easily, that's what I named it here. Cool. So now we would just use this same exact code on our blog post profile screen, but we would just give it that option of hide author. So I would just take this code so you don't have to type it out again. Right, the self-closing xpost line. Go into your profile post.blade. Here's the for each loop. Just remove this A element, paste it in. Now, if we don't give it that extra option and you refresh, you go to a blog post profile, see it says by Brad. We don't need that because it's their profile. Obviously, every post is by that user. But all we would need to do is say, hide author equals true. And actually, you don't even need to set it to true. As long as it's just set at all, that will be good enough. Our code will figure out what's going on. So just give it an attribute or flag of hide author like this, save it, refresh, beautiful. The by username text is gone, but you can go to the home page, it's still there. Cool. That's going to bring this lesson to a close. We took care of those few miscellaneous details. Now, in our next lesson, this is going to get really fun. We're going to build the live search feature. Now, again, this is not a course about JavaScript, so we're not going to write all of the JavaScript together. That would be outside the scope of this course, but we will learn how to connect the dots between client-side real-time JavaScript and the back end of our Laravel data. This is going to be a lot of fun, so let's keep our momentum rolling, and I will see you then.